First, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, wherever you are. Thanks, Eric, for inviting me to present on this Virtual Expo event. Great to be part of an impressive lineup today, and people that have spoken in the past. So let's switch over to the agenda for today. First, I introduce myself, then we switch over to Microsoft Azure, a short overview, history timeline, then we talk about the Citrix cloud workspaces that can be delivered at this moment. Then we switch over to the architecture and demo section. Then we talk a little bit about some improvements that are going on the platform in the last months. Then we talk about best practices and considerations, and at the end we have also in the section that you all also know from my bloggings. And if we have some time left, we can also do a short Q&A if there are some questions. So who am I? I'm Christian Brinkhoff, and I work as a senior workspace consultant departed in the Netherlands for D'Ieteren. And D'Ieteren is one of the leading companies in the Netherlands for SBC and VDI environments, mostly on the Citrix portfolio. I'm living in a village called Beuningen nearby Nijmegen in the Netherlands. I'm awarded as a Citrix CTA of this year's program, so pretty honored to be part of that program. I'm participating in the NetScale MVP program. I'm being chosen as a networking SIG leader for the MyCTC website, so also a great honor to be part of that leadership. I'm also being awarded as a VMware expert and EDO community tech insider, and I'm also contribute my articles on DevC as being a community professional. And besides my external blogging and my contributor work, I'm also blogging on my own page. It can be found at overshare.net, and I'm also active on my social channel through Twitter handle at Brinkhoff_C. So if we aren't connected yet, please do it now. So let's straight over to this great, interesting quote by Judy Garland, which say, behind every cloud is another cloud. This symbolizes the way how Citrix Cloud and Microsoft Azure is operating with each other. So, for example, when you are buying XenApp and XenDesktop Essentials from the Microsoft Azure Marketplace, you are actually connected to the Citrix Cloud. And then you configure your XenApp or your XenDesktop workplace, and then it's connected to the Microsoft Azure Cloud. So the collaboration between the two cloud platforms is then taking place. So this quote was definitely one that I want to remind you of how that operation is taking place. So let's switch over to a short introduction about Microsoft Azure. As you probably know, Microsoft Azure is the public cloud data center environment of Microsoft, with more than 100 data centers around the globe at this moment. It's in the top 3 networks worldwide, and they are joining 120,000 users or customers each month to the platform. And this information is actually from 2-3 months ago, so I guess it's at 130 or 140, and it's twice as big as the AWS data centers, and it's 6 times bigger than the Google Cloud data center regions. So pretty impressive numbers, if you ask me. So I always building up if you choose for Microsoft Azure on a pretty reliable environment. So let's straight over to an history timeline where you can see the evolvements of the Citrix Cloud and Citrix Workspace for Cloud platform, what it was called in the past. One that want to remind you is the Citrix bought Cloud.com in 2011, which was one of the fundamental steps of the creation of the Citrix Workspace Cloud at the moment. Which was released in 2015, and in 2015 also the full-blown apps and desktop XenApp and XenDesktop service was released. And in 2016, Citrix and Microsoft exceeded their partnership to embrace businesses to deliver the digital transformation what is going on at this moment. and yeah, which was resulted in the replacement of the official Azure Remote App solution, which is delivering the published application solution, and that also can be delivered from the XenApp Essentials solution. So yeah, that was great news. It was first announced as the XenApp Express and later on as XenApp Essentials. And also the XenDesktop Essentials was launched at the same moment. And also the remote app is at this moment end of life. So yeah, want to share that with you guys. So what about Citrix workspaces in Azure? There are three kinds of workspace solutions in the Citrix cloud. The first two are delivered as being said on the quote slide from Microsoft Azure, so from the marketplace. And the third option is the full-blown XenApp and XenDesktop service that you know from your on-premise environment with Platinum capabilities. And that one needs to be purchased through your CSP or your sales representative directly to the Citrix cloud. So another thing that is very important besides the three workspace solutions is the NetScaler Gateway as a Service, which is the ICA proxy simplified solution of providing remote access to the workspace environment in the Citrix cloud. More in-depth information about this in some later slides. You are always aware to use the latest software versions and features if you choose for workspaces in Citrix Cloud. It's a simplified management, so for XenApp Essentials, for example, you have a simplified enrollment process, an automated enrollment process that I will demo also to you in a later slide, where you actually have to provide several information, and then you're good to go, and everything is automatically be deployed. It's also using the flexibility of Microsoft Azure. So you use your resources as your own needs. So when your company is growing and growing, you can use the flexibility of the Microsoft Azure platform to create instantly XenApp workers as your own needs. And when your company is decreasing in employees, you can lower the XenApp workers, which also means that you lower your bill at the end of the month. So with that said, it's based on OPEX costs, it's pay as you go, so you actually only pay what you use. And that is one way of thinking which is really relevant at this moment, in my opinion. And I see that a lot of being asked by companies which want to move to the cloud in a hybrid way or in a full cloud way, for example. And besides everything, it's also very easy to implement. So I will show you that later on in this session. So let's move on to our feature comparison. With XenApp Essentials, XenDesktop Essentials, and XenApp and XenDesktop Service, we have several limitations and feature advantages and disadvantages. One of them is the publish application possibility for XenApp Essentials, but we haven't got the full desktop capabilities with XenApp Essentials, which you have with XenDesktop Essentials, but with XenDesktop Essentials you haven't got the publish applications capabilities. So keep that in mind when you want to migrate your on-premise environment and you have an XenApp environment which using the full desktop experience and the publish application. You have to combine XenApp Essentials and XenDesktop Essentials, or you need to go for the XenApp and XenDesktop Service, which can do both of them. Another thing to remember is that XenApp Essentials is limited in capabilities to use your own storefront server and your own NetScaler server, which are able to use with XenDesktop and XenApp and XenDesktop Service. Another thing to remember is that RDS licenses are not included, so you need to buy them when you purchase XenApp and XenDesktop Essentials from the marketplace in a reduction cost. It's about $625 out of my head, and You can also deliver your own RDS licenses as you are migrating from your on-premise environment. And another thing that you need to remind of is that with the XenApp Essentials, you have limited Citrix Director capabilities, and with the XenDesktop Essentials and the XenApp and XenDesktop Service, you have almost the same Citrix Director capabilities that you are aware of in your on-premise environment. And to finalize this slide, you have also full Platinum licenses capabilities when you choose for XenApp and XenDesktop Service from inside the Citrix Cloud, which results in using Citrix RAM, the self-service password reset, for example, and the Citrix application layering software. So how does that all look like in a more console way? On the left side, we have the XenApp Essentials console, which is the deployment, automated deployment process. And on the right side, you have the managed full-blown studio, which is provided to you when you choose for XenApp, XenDesktop Essentials and XenApp and XenDesktop Service. Only this picture is from the XenApp and XenDesktop Service. When you choose for XenDesktop Essentials, you haven't got the application menu option in the studio menu bar. So what about the Citrix Cloud Connector? The Citrix Cloud is operating through Microsoft Azure by using the Citrix Cloud Connector, which is a software executable which is provided when you are deploying solutions from Citrix Cloud to Microsoft Azure or any other kind of environment, just to interact and to communicate with each other. And it's connected through an reliable 443 secure SSL connection, so you don't have to be aware of any hack tryings from the outside. And when you choose for XenApp Essentials, the whole installation process of Citrix Cloud connectors is integrated in the process. So in the demo, you will see what actually happens when you choose for XenApp Essentials. So let's talk about availability sets in Microsoft Azure, which is also called the high availability set, which provides high availability for your virtual machines and infrastructure as a service. And with that, you can configure fault domains, which means is that your servers and infrastructure as a service in Microsoft Azure are placed in a different rack of servers in the Azure data center. So when one rack is having an outage or someone walks in the data center and pushes out a power cable, for example, the other server is then placed on a rack number 2 and continue with work. So when you are setting up the Citrix Cloud connectors, for example, manually, then place them in one availability set with 2 fault domains configured. And also keep in mind that you configure update domains, which are also part of the availability set. With an update domain, it means that you, when Microsoft Azure or Microsoft is providing updates on their platform, and I know when you're using infrastructure as a service, you are all responsible about the virtual machine and the operating system by yourself. But in case of an exploit or vulnerabilities that are taking place or patches that are needed to secure the whole Microsoft Azure data center, for example, it can take in place that Microsoft choose to force updates. So always keep in mind to also use update domains. And when you are choosing for availability sets, they always must be created at the deployment process of the machine. Afterwards, you cannot change the machine and place them in the availability set. So what about Azure Cost Calculator? Azure Cost Calculator is the publicly available calculation program that is created by the Citrix Azure engineering team. And it's free, publicly available for everyone by the link in the upper corner or in the upper middle of the presentation slide. And here you can enter some components and some settings to eventually here set up the VDA size and the quantity, the user density value that needs to be available for your environment, which is measured on login VSI workload tests. And eventually, when everything is set up, when you click on the button, the calculation process is taking place, and then you can see in nice graphical pictures what your estimated cost will be of your Citrix workspace environment, build it up and working in Microsoft Azure. So what about Smart Scale? You saw in the before slide, Smart Scale in the calculation process, just because Smart Scale is the Smart Tools program that can perform schedule-based and load-based scaling on your Citrix environment in Microsoft Azure, but also in AWS or in your on-premise environment, just to perform schedule-based scaling. So if you have working days from 9 to 5 and your XenApp environment needs to be available for 2,000 users, after working hours, it probably only has to be available for 500 users. So you can descale your environment, and with Smart Scale you can provide the schedule-based scaling for that, which eventually will cost or save out costs in Microsoft Azure. Also a possibility based scaling, which means is that if you have your environment is out of RAM memory, or your CPU is on 80–90%, and users are calling to your service desk and say, our user experience is not what it has to be. So with that you can also provide load-based scaling, which which can use triggers to scale up your environment to get back to the user experience where it belongs. So eventually that can be a cost reduction, and you can spare out resource costs with that. And also being said, it's supported for multi-cloud environments, so you can also use it for AWS and also for on-premise environments. So keep that in mind. It's a great tool, and it's included in your customer select and software maintenance license, if you have a valid license at this moment. So you can explore and discover it for testing purposes first. So I really recommend Smart Scale for you. So how does Smart Scale look in a more console way? On the left side you have the Smart Scale version for XenApp Essentials, which is only the schedule-based method. So you can only say, now I have working hours on Monday to Friday on 8 to 5, and at that moment I have a minimum of 5 instances running. And 5 instances means 5 times 20, which is 220 users. And after that you can say, from now I have a minimum of 1 XenApp server running at the after working hours. And also on a setting that what can take in place is the set idle or disconnection setting, session timeout. So when a user is disconnected for more than 1 hour, for example, you can automatically log off the user then with that setting. And on the right side you have the full capability, full feature version of Smart Scale, which is available for XenDesktop Essentials and XenApp and XenDesktop Service, and for every other XenApp and XenDesktop licenses customer, where you have the load-based, schedule-based, and load-based and schedule-based together capabilities. So let's switch over to the NetScaler Gateway as a Service, as mentioned in one of the first slides. NetScaler Gateway as a Service is the ICA proxy method managed by Citrix through the Citrix Cloud, but it has also some limitations. You have no customizations and Teams possibilities. There's no possibility to activate secondary authentication. You get an XenApp.net URL provided by Citrix, so you cannot use your own custom external domain. Smart access is not possible, and no EDT is possible at this moment. And all the connections are going through the Citrix Cloud connector. These are the limitations that are active from on XenApp Essentials. With XenDesktop Essentials and XenApp and XenDesktop Service, you can also use your own NetScaler with the bring your own license version from the Azure Infrastructure as a Service. And yeah, with that chosen, you can manage it all by yourself. So Citrix does not take care of the updates or of the platform. Secondary authentication is possible, Radius or Azure MFA. Custom external URL is also possible, just at the same as your on-premise environment. Azure and AWS is possible to connect to GSLB, for example. Full customization is possible through Teams, HCX Insight and Mass, NetScaler Mass is possible then, and all the other advanced features such as Nfactor, AppFlow, and Rewrite. So when you are choosing to activate NetScaler Gateway as a service, you have several entry points around the globe, just to be sure that you always use the nearest and low latency connection to your Citrix workplace environment. So yeah, I guess they are pretty covered around the globe. So let's switch over to the architecture and demo. So here's a summary of all the XenApp Essential steps that must be taken place on the platform. So first, we need to create an Azure subscription, an Azure environment. Then we need to set up our domain. We can also create an IPsec or an express route or an SD-WAN connection to make our environment hybrid with Microsoft Azure. Then we need to create an infrastructure as a service, Windows Server 2012 or 2016 VM to configure the base image. Then we create a catalog in Citrix Cloud. Then we connect to the Azure subscription. Then we join the local domain. And these steps are all automated by XenApp Essentials. Then we choose the VDA that we just created in Microsoft Azure. Then we select the capacity, the smart skill option that we saw earlier. Publish the applications. Then we need to assign the users to the apps or groups. And then we can provide the storefront and NetScaler gateway URL to our end users. So how does that look like in a more architectural way? So first we need to create the Microsoft Azure environment, storage account, and resource group. Then we create a virtual network. Then we create an availability set where we place our base image in. Then we connect to our Citrix Cloud environment with the XenApp Essentials marketplace purchase. Then we connect the SSL to the subscription of Microsoft Azure from the Citrix Cloud. Then the automation process is creating 2 Edge servers, which is installed upon the Citrix Cloud connector. Then the Citrix XenApp workers are taken place or are installed in Microsoft Azure in the availability set, the same as the base image. Then the director is being prepared. Then the user needs to be assigned to the applications. Then the storefront and NetScaler gateway URL is provided to you, and then you can actually log on. So now we are switching over to the actual demo of the whole process of XenApp Essentials. So let's start. So first of all, we enroll the XenApp base image. So we choose an XenApp or an Windows Server 2016 virtual machine for that. Enter the subscription and the resource group, and there we can also use the hub program more later on. That program, the resource. Now we create an availability set. I already created some in the past. The storage account. The virtual network is already created. I have an IPsec connection to my lab environment, so I don't need any public IPs. So let's move on. The summary is now taking place. Validation is passed, so we can purchase the VDA, the XenApp base image. So now we connect to RDP to the base image as local user. The base image does not need to be joined to the domain, so that's all taking place in the enrollment process, in the provisioning process. So keep reminded. So let's start the VDA installation process. The 7.15 LTSR is supported, so use the latest version. And here choose to let MCS create it automatically. So I speeded up this a little bit, so you don't have to wait at 10 minutes. So after this process, I optimize the image with the Citrix optimizer tool with the standard Windows Server 2016 template. Normally you would first analyze the environment, but for testing purposes this is enough. Also validate if the services are not used by applications for you. Now make sure that your status is top deallocated before we go ahead with the XenApp Essentials deployment process. So search for the XenApp Essentials software suite in the marketplace, given a resource name. Enter the resource group to place our resources in. Now we need to connect to the Citrix Cloud account. I already had one, so I can use that for this purpose. Now we need to use the amount of 25 users or higher. We can use our own RDS licensing for that if we choose for existing RDS licensing calls. So now the process is taking place and it's pretty fast. But on the background, the Citrix Cloud account is normally created if you haven't got any. So it can take up 2 to 4 hours to provisioning on the background. Now we switch over to the Citrix Cloud. We are going to create the catalog. Enter a name for the catalog. This can be random. Link the Citrix Cloud to the Azure subscription. We need to enter the full administrator credentials to give an XenApp Essentials service account to the proper owner rights in Azure. We need to select the resource group, virtual network to place our workers in. Now we need to enter the full qualified domain name of the domain, the organizational unit service account to join the computer accounts in the domain. And now we can use several options. We can use a prepared image by Citrix, which is the 2012 R2 with 7.14.1, but I use my own VDA that we just created, so I select all the options for that, and an image name eventually at the end. And now we came at the Smart Skills section. I use SSDs to provide the best and the highest speed for my end users. I advise you to use the DS2 version 2 or the DS12 version 2. I have great experiences with that two SKUs. And now I'm providing my working hours and my minimum amount of workers that must be running at the moment and the disconnection session time. And now we are actually finished with the recommended steps. And now we can start the deployment. So the provisioning is now taking place, and in the meanwhile, we can switch over to our Azure subscription to see what is happening on the virtual machine section. And there we can see that there are created 2 edge servers automatically now, which are now running, and the Citrix Cloud connectors are now connected to the Citrix Cloud. The sizing of the both edge servers are one of the lowest ones, so A2 version 2, which is in Europe €45. That's its additional cost, by the way. Now we can publish our application when the deployment is finished. So I use Office 2016. So I select some examples. And now we need to add the applications to an user or an Active Directory group. And now we are done, and we get the storefront and Netscaler Gateway URL where we can test our environment in. So let's enter the domain credentials, and then we can see our applications. So let's test Word. And it's working great. And now we switch over to Excel just to be sure. It's deployed from the same image platform. So. Okay, that's working. So now we have several settings left. So we can do some more settings. So we can configure the profile management in built-in solution. So we need to provide a file server path for that to activate UPM, so the Universal Profile Management of Citrix. And here we can enter our own RDS licensing server. And let's switch over to the monitoring, to the director tab. And here we can see that I'm active and I'm having one application open, that is Word. It's just the same as your on-premise director version, but then in limited capabilities without the networking tab and all the advanced searching capabilities. So that was the end of the demo. So how does that look compared to XenDesktop Essentials and XenDesktop and XenApp service? Yeah, it can be very easy on that one. All the steps that you have seen in the demo that are automatically processed needs to be done manually. So you need to set up an Citrix Cloud account, or you need to set up the XenDesktop Essentials service from the marketplace. Then you need to set up your own Citrix Cloud connectors. Then you need to enter. Then you get access to the Citrix Studio through an HTML5 method, and then you can connect the host connection to connect the Studio to the Microsoft Azure subscription. Then you need to enter in by your own the machine catalog process and the delivery groups. So how does it look like? I haven't got any enterprise agreement to test it in my home lab, but I have some screenshots to show to you. So first of all, you need to select the XenApp and XenDesktop servers in the Citrix Cloud. Then you switch over to XenApp and XenDesktop servers. Then you install the Citrix Cloud connectors, and I suggest you to do it in a high availability way. So 2 servers placed in 1 availability set in Microsoft Azure. Then you can create your VDI, your Windows 10 VDI. So you can deploy in a Windows 10 Enterprise preview virtual machine. And if you have an enterprise agreement with software assurance on your operating system, you can also choose for the Hub version. I will talk more about Hub in one of the last slides. Then you perform the VDA installation. Then you set up the host connection to Microsoft Azure, the Azure Global version. Then you proceed the machine catalog setup, where you use the Windows 10 VDI as master image. Then you configure the creation of the delivery group, and then you switch over to the service delivery, where you can provide the storefront hosted storefront connection and the Netscaler Gateway as a service connection. Here's also the option to select to use your own and Netscaler Gateway as a service, so also keep that in mind. And when that is done, you get access to your XenApp, your hosted storefront web interface, and then you can work in your VDI in Microsoft Azure. So that was the demo part of this presentation. So let's switch over to some Citrix and Azure improvements that have taken place. Citrix is doing a lot of innovation and improvements on the platform. So big thumbs for that for Citrix. So first of the improvements is for XenApp Essentials is the custom icon possibility, which is not really evolving or it's but it is working now, so yeah, keep that in mind. Also, N series are supported for XenApp Essentials, so you can now use the graphical user experience at a higher level for the HDX experiences for your end users. Also for AutoCAD or CAD/CAM systems, that is a great solution to provide this. And premium disks are also supported, so you can provide SSD experiences. So yeah, that is also possible right now. And also one that I want to remember with you is this hot off the press improvement news from Prasanna. Is one of the directors of the Azure Citrix and Azure director team, engineering team. And yeah, the creation machine catalog, power all machines, stop all machines, and update the machine catalog and delete machines. So the whole management and maintenance process around your base image is improved with 50% in time or more. So also big thumbs up for that. And another hot off the press news, which is announced last week, I guess, is the support or the preview support of Azure Managed Disk, which is now only available for the XenApp and XenDesktop service, and probably also the XenApp XenDesktop Essentials, but not for the XenApp Essentials. But with that, you can use, you normally use the storage accounts in Microsoft Azure, but now you can use the Managed Disk, which is scalable. So the storage is dynamically expandable, which also is called elastic storage, and there are no IOPS limitations anymore. And it's also is enough or more faster than in the previous slide. So great improvement on the platform. So best practices and considerations. As being a senior Workspace consultant, I'm want to share some best practices and considerations with you. So first of all, one of them is the in the slide I showed the profile management solutions in XenApp Essentials. With if you haven't got any file server in your Azure subscription, or you want to save out resource costs or storage costs on that specific topic, you can also use Microsoft Azure Storage Spaces Direct for that, which is actually a cloud witness file server as a service solution from inside Microsoft Azure, which can also provide UNC file server paths for configuring your user profiles in Microsoft Azure. So Dave Kawulu is holding a presentation on this topic later on today. The Microsoft MVP who speaking today. So stay tuned for that session. I will increase user density and performance by using the Citrix Optimizer tool, as being shown to you in the demo. If you want to work fully on cloud and you are not depending on an ADSI custom re-edited Active Directory, so you are not have application that needs to have custom schema entries or that kind of stuff, for example. You can also use the Azure Active Directory Domain Services solution, which can deliver an Active Directory as a service. So you buy a small amount of resource costs to provide Active Directory from Microsoft Azure. So keep also that in mind. It's in previous mode in the Resource Manager, and it's in live mode in the Service Management in the Classic portal. So when you want to choose for that, you need to create a VNet to VNet connection for that. Also keep in mind, if you want to go hybrid in connection with your on-premise environment and Microsoft Azure, use the Express route or Netscaler SD-WAN for a reliable connection. I don't advise you to use the IPsec connection to your own custom firewall. Yeah, it can cause some problems, which can result in a big outage at your environment if there are depending servers in both environments. And another thing that I want to keep you remembered is measure your distance and latency to Microsoft Azure. So with the 100 plus data centers around the globe, you are always aware of being using a pretty reliable connection to Microsoft Azure. But if you want the best connection that is possible, you can use the AzureSpeed.com measurements tooling that is free available. And when you enter that web page, you can see the nearest location with the low latency, which is at that moment the best location for you to place your resources in. So also keep that in mind. And also, I did a webinar for the MyCTC 1 month ago about Azure Site Recovery, which is the disaster recovery replication business continuity software of Microsoft Azure to create an on-premise to Microsoft Azure failover replication. But you can also use Azure Site Recovery to lift and shift and to migrate your on-premise servers to Microsoft Azure. So keep that in mind. It is a big time saver for migration processes and migration and cloud specialists, consultants out there in the field, just like me. So now hand over to the Did You Know section, which you all also know from my blogging. So know that data going into Azure data centers is free and outgoing not. So if you are limited or you want to save at cost, use the Netscaler Gateway 25 gigs add-on package when you buy XenApp and XenDesktop Essentials. You can now use Citrix Cloud as partner as well. So you can now provide XenApp and XenDesktop servers and all the other impressive and awesome programs that can be delivered from the Citrix Cloud to your own customers as being a partner. So keep that in mind. And the Citrix Cloud is now also possible in Europe. So also a big plus to Citrix for this. I'm living in Europe, so I always want to have the nearest location of my resources. So that is now possible. So XenApp and XenDesktop servers and the Essentials suite is now also possible to be delivered from Europe instead of the US. And also be aware that only machine creation services supported to provide the image management for Microsoft Azure. So no provisioning services is possible. And as being said in the presentation, you can get up to 40% discount on your Azure resources by using the Hub program, which is standing for the Hybrid Use Benefit program. There are some requirements for that program. You have to be an enterprise agreement customer with Microsoft, and you also need to have a software assurance for your operating system. So if you have that, you have already paid for the license part of the infrastructure as a service of virtual machines. So that means is that you can save out the license cost of the infrastructure as a service. So if you have this, detect the virtual machines from the marketplace with the uppercase Hub letters in the front, and then you can use a low cost version of the operating system. And also keep in mind that Citrix Cloud is also deliver a free available monitoring page through the status.cloud.com, which is a great portal that looks like this. And here you can see all the outages or the updates or anything like that, what is important for you if you are running your production environment on Citrix Cloud services. Another thing, in the right upper corner, you have a subscribe button, and if you click on that, you can also use email, Slack, or SMS notifications if there's a big outage or an update that you need to be aware of. So that was my presentation of today. Let's switch over to Eric, or